you are. Shop kitty. Curly Q. But, I'm gonna do my 2,000 hour review on this tractor. The Massey 7616, the 96 transmission. This is a 2014 model. It doesn't have any front weights on this thing. It's got the front weight carrier, but this has a loader on it. It doesn't have the Massey, or the, I should say, the ALO or the Quickie loader on here. We actually went with a Quaker loader on here. So the way the loader mounts look, they are going to be completely different. So if you go the other route, so this is Quaker's loader mounts. So you can't really look at them if you're looking at a Quickie loader for it. But anyways, we have this tractor set pretty wide for the loader. It's fairly wide stance on it. Good light package on it. It's got, your main road lights, and then it's got also your kind of your field lights for shining off the side a little bit and front. It's got cab lights, 2 up top and 2 on the back. It's got 1 set on either side here. You can actually have another one up here. There's another harness inside here. So you can actually have 1 more light up top here yet on both sides. And back here, you can see the 2 lights up there. These lights I installed myself here. There's actually the harness was in here already, so I just put some LED lights in here. But those, you can get them from the factory as well to have actual lights mounted up here. I just kind of made my own bracket and everything here to make it work and fit. But the lights on here, they're pretty good light package for what they came with. Just having 2 back here, they're pretty bright lights. I don't know if they call them the HIDs. They're really bright. I still think LEDs are the best though, because lower power consumption and pretty bright. But this one doesn't have beacons on top. This thing would come with 2 beacons. You can see up top of the cab roof there. That's where they would go, either side. It's got good mirrors on the sides. Really, I don't like where the hazard lights are. They're down low. There's nothing up top. I think it's harder to see because they're down lower, because the front hazard lights are off to the side here, which isn't a bad thing really that they're here, because they kind of show the width of the tractor a little bit. But they're so low to the ground though, it's kind of like sometimes you have stuff and you can't see the light, especially in the back if you're pulling something. These hazard lights don't really do anything here really. They should almost be up top like New Holland does. New Holland, they actually have 4 hazard lights on the back every tractor, which is actually really good. Actually, the TG actually has 6 on the back. It's got 2 by the park lights, the 2 what do you call it, the side clearance lights, and then it's got 2 up top. So it actually has 6 hazard lights in the back of that tractor, so make it visible. Anyways, it's got 3-point actuator switches here for going up and down for connecting implements. This PTO switch here, this is not for getting your implements hooked up, because as standard, the PTO spins freely when the tractor's running. It spins freely. It's easy to turn that thing to get stuff hooked up. What this is actually for is actually starting the PTO from the back of the tractor, but there's some stipulations that you have to follow first, to have completed first before you can actually use the switch. There's a certain procedure you have to do. But use this quite a bit on the post pounder and even running the auger with it. Super handy back here. You come back here, press and hold the button until everything starts up. Everything starts running, and then to shut it off, you just press the switch once then, and it shuts off then. So mechanical rear remotes here. It's got cables, regular cables, mechanical levers, manual hydraulic flow adjustment knobs here. Good 3-point hitch back here. I still think New Holland still has the best, because I don't like these turnbuckles here. They're threaded. I like New Holland's pin style. I think that's just way easier, simpler, quicker. But 3 points pretty beefy on here. Can't really complain on that. PTOs are super easy to switch, just using a snap ring. Easy to switch. New Holland, most New Holland's the same way too. Easy peasy. Easy to pull the hitch in and out. It's just 2 bolts underneath. Loosen 1, take 1 out. Whole big pin drops out. Easy peasy, straightforward. This tractor does have cab suspension on it. Works pretty well. I do like the suspension on here for the cab. It does cushion fairly well. I have no complaints in that department. Yeah, this has got the inner, this thing's weighted down pretty good back here. It's got a set of inner weights and outer weights on here for load of brick. We got no fluid in the tires here. And with a Quaker loader on front that extends pretty far out, carrying 2 bales up front, the tractor stays grounded. So we got weighted plenty good back here. The tire size back here, these tires, they're 38s, so they're they're not as tall, unlike on some other tractors. I think you're looking at like 42s, I think. These are 42s back here, like an 8870 here. Yep, these are 42s here. TG back ones are 46s, so I mean they have a little bit shorter, a little bit shorter. So that's just what they have on here. That's just the rim size. I don't know if I'm sure there's more options yet, but that's what this came with here. The front tires are 14, or no, not 14. What's the size again? I always forget the sizes. 28s, yeah. 28s, 14.9 28s. Pretty standard stuff. Of course, government juice, or I should say government piss. It's got that, of course. Haven't had really any issues. There's a couple small annoyances with it. Running in the wintertime, if it's below 32 degrees outside, or the coolant's below 32 degrees for a set period of time, it goes through a de-icing process, which can take anywhere from 10 minutes to 30 minutes, depending on how cold it is outside. We've ran it anywhere, down to, what was that coldest day we had? It was 38 below one morning. It was probably like minus 20 in the shed where it was sitting. And it took 30 minutes for that process to go. But pretty much what it does is that it opens a valve where the coolant flows through some lines in the tank to heat up the tank, heat up the fluid, de-ices, so it can be used then. And it automatically makes it tractor rev up to 1200 RPM. So it's kind of annoying type deal, especially if you have something PTO driven. Like we have a bale processor, I can't use the bale processor till that drops down the RPMs till that gets done. And sometimes when it's really cold out, it must be a software glitch. Dealer doesn't know. Kitty, don't jump up there. Hey. You want to go in the cab, Kitty? Here, go in the cab. You like to go in there. Yeah. There instead. Some of those cold winter mornings, sub-zero. If we didn't use the tractor the day before, so it sat for more than 20 hours, so it pretty much would sit like as if we use the other tractor for feeding. It sits for, I don't know, close for well over 30 hours. For some reason, when it gets done with the de-icing process, it doesn't rev back down. It doesn't go back to low idle, so I have to power cycle the tractor, shut it off, let it run its thing, so the battery isolator kicks out everything, resets the computer, and then hunky-dory then. It's just a minor inconvenience, I guess, but overall, though, I haven't had any issues with it so far up to this point. One time it did dump all the DEF out of the tank. I don't know, something wasn't sealed on the pump housing, because I know I changed the filter, it was a few months prior. I changed the filter, the DEF filter, and I don't know, maybe I didn't have the O-ring sealed for some reason, and then one morning it came out, there's just a puddle of DEF on the ground then, so I took that filter out and checked stuff and make sure everything was fine, and haven't had a problem since. But that's all access behind this cover here. That module is back there, so it's fairly straightforward to remove it, change the filter. It's fairly straightforward. But that's that. Government piss. Fuel tank, I think it's like an 80-gallon fuel tank or something like that, somewhere around there. Lasts a while. It's pretty fuel efficient. I'd say it's got 3 fuel filters on here. It kind of varies, but you got the main water separator, fuel filter, pre-filter, and then it goes to, actually this one's just called the water separator filter. Then it goes to the pre-filter, then it goes to the main filter then. Those two are 1,000-hour filters in there. Those take a while. This is a 500-hour filter, but I've only had to change, of course, they got changed once at the dealership for warranty. We had warranty work done. We had them change stuff anyways, but I changed them last summer, and you need a special tool. The fuel filters, they're like a little bit proprietary stuff there. It's like a plastic thing up here with knobs on it. You use a special tool that kind of grabs it, makes it easier changing. So I changed it once, didn't seem too bad. It's fairly straightforward. So, but of course it gets a little difficult when you have the loader on here. That's something to consider too. You have the loader on here, it makes stuff a little bit difficult getting into back there. But oil check is right here. It's super easy to get to, even with the loader there, easy to get to. Oil filters right here, engine oil filters back here. You know, again, you have the loader here. You know, it's a little bit tough getting back there, but and plus with the sideways filter, you know, some oil likes to drip down. At least there's not much there for it to catch. It just kind of runs on the side of the engine and goes down to the ground then, so it's fairly easy to clean up to an extent. So it's not bad. I've seen worse, so it's not bad at all. I can't really complain, especially with, you know, a loader. If it didn't have a loader on it, yeah, that's be easy peasy, just walking right in there then, so wouldn't be bad. This is for the block heater. I think this is like the European style here. This is an adapter that goes to United States plugs, so which we have it running over here. We have two magnetic transmission heaters on it too, going on to one plug here. We got two heaters hooked up there too, so to heat up the tractor in the wintertime. See, I got a nice, must be corn stalk here? Yeah, let's hook up a corn stalk to it up here. Batteries are located down here. They're easy to get to. Take the car off, they're right there, easy peasy. Muffler, pretty streamlined here, right in front of the cab post. Doesn't really impede much vision at all. Nice design for all the emission stuff. It's fairly tidy, fairly clean, straightforward. Yeah, this is of course Quaker stuff here. Can't look at that. That's Quaker's. Yeah. Oh yeah, there's some filters down here. Main hydraulic filter. It's kind of hard. It's hard to see here. You just gotta crawl underneath here, and you can sit up here. There's a canister right on the side here, and then there's also another small filter for the power shuttle. Small canister filter there, or I should say cartridge. That was a little bit tougher to get to. And there's also the suction filter here, strainer filter. Here, you have to change that when you change the transmission oil. Strainer. Hydraulic level dipstick right here. It's kind of in a weird spot here. It's kind of a weird place. The hydraulic fill port is right there. That's in a terrible spot. I don't like that. You have to get on with a ratchet, with a socket to get that loose and off, and it's, you know, it's kind of in a bad spot. Really, I don't like where it's positioned. I wish they have it a little bit different spot. Plus, it's plastic. It's like a plastic cover too. It's not metal, which it makes sense. Where if you don't get it on right, you'll just strip that cover instead. You know, it makes sense. So instead of stripping the threads on the actual transmission housing, instead you just strip the threads on the cover instead, which I haven't done yet. I don't plan on doing it, but it could happen though. So I guess it's better that way. But just so you're aware, it is only a plastic type material cover. So you can see that with it being on a cab suspension here, it kind of raises up the cab a little bit. You kind of see in there all over too. Like you can see in there fairly well for cleaning and seeing for oil leaks. You know, it's got some room in there. You can actually see underneath there. So it's actually not a bad thing. There's actually room underneath there. It's not all jam-packed with the way how it's designed too, versus some other tractors too. Like, as I'm getting back to the cab here, the air vents and everything for the cab, the way it's designed, you know, it kind of improves area down here. Unlike some tractors, they have it underneath the cab and underneath the seat. It really gets clustered underneath there, and it's hard to work on anything. Yeah, I guess that's the outside of the cab. The front end, this end is all sealed. It's all sealed components, bushings or seal components, except for the main pivot pins on here front and the rear on the axle here. There's 2 grease points on here, right on the side here. Easy access to them, so that's where you grease that. But everything else is sealed. It's a good and a bad thing, I guess. So I guess once you get play, you got to change those bushings then. So that's about how it goes. It's better than metal on metal, I suppose. There's good and bad things about it. Alright, here's the engine bay. Looks pretty busy on this side. You can see all the fuel lines and other lines over there, but then you get to the other side, then it's not nearly as bad. Just pretty much the exhaust manifold, the starter, and a couple oil lines and the exhaust. That's about it for this side, really. I mean, it's more or less on the one side, but this is your air filter here. Yeah, you know, it gets, I don't like where that's positioned. It gets a lot of dust. It's in a bad place. I wish they would have, as other people said, a stack going up the cab or something like that, or sticking up somewhere else, just to be able to pull cleaner air in, so these things don't get so bad. So, because the way it's positioned, I just, you know, it's not really a good thing. You gotta change those filters more often. Kitty, you can see there is space in there for a cat. That means there's space in there to work. Then you can walk right through there. Nothing moves on here either. I don't think there's no. Everything's solid, bolted on. There's no moving radiators here for easier cleaning, but it doesn't make this one a little bit tougher, but at least you got a lot of room here to be able to work with it then. So it's not too bad. Of course, the coolant check is right here. Coolant reservoir is right here. You got your check here. This is low level. This is high right here. Wow, that based on you fill it from up here then. Yeah, oil fill right here. Knob right here. Yeah, and I guess just a bunch of course, the beer keg is kind of, there's back there for the emission stuff, and yeah, it's a metal hood or whatever. It's not plastic. It's actually a metal hood. So yeah, it's a little busy on this side with stuff. Of course, some of it's the emission crap in there, so that's just the way it is. It's fairly quiet engine too. It's fairly quiet too. It's a, however you pronounce it, Sisu or Sisu, however you want to pronounce the engine name. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna have trouble now. Yep, my own stupidity last fall. There. Yeah, my own stupidity last fall. I wasn't thinking. Bale rolled off the trailer and it hit here. It grabbed on the net, or grabbed here, and then it kind of rolled. It just kind of rolled onto here, and you guys can maybe see some scratches here. Kind of ruined the emblem here a little bit, and it actually it must have pushed down the hood because there's actually a little indentation right here. I don't know if you guys probably can't even see it here. There's a little indentation here, so the whole hood here got kind of, I'd say, tweaked, pushed downward. I tried working on it the best I could, but it's just something still tweaked yet, where getting the hood to latch securely down now is kind of like up. Takes a few tries to get it to latch again, so that was my own fault for that one. First major scratch on the tractor. But cab here, yeah, it is a smaller cab, and I know partly has to do with the high visibility roof option on here. That's just what the tractor came with, but it's not a very big cab in here, to be quite honest. It isn't, but at least the cab, though, it's laid out rather nice, though. At least I can say about that. Everything's convenient in here, laid out real nice. Biggest gripe I got about this cab is the high visibility roof. I don't care. It's just what the tractor came with, but you know, the biggest thing what this does is it really crams the cab air system in here. It crams it up here. Everything's just jammed in here. We had problems. This was under warranty. We had problems. The radio wouldn't work. Air conditioner wouldn't work as that capillary tube was broke. Everything was just slammed up in here. There is not much room to work with up there. It's kind of a bad deal. So it's one of those things, I'd rather not have to take this down unless I absolutely positively have to, because chances are you could pinch a wire in here or break this capillary tube, because this, for the air conditioner switch here, it's not climate control automatic, it's just all manual stuff. But yeah, this capillary tube, it's kind of stupid how it's run. It actually comes out on the left side of the switch here, and it has to make a sharp 90-degree turn here and then run back to the back of the system up here, then where it goes into the, what do they call it, condenser, the evaporator. It's got to run into here then. So how do I know this? Because we've replaced it already. So but because it wasn't working when we first got the tractor. The fan, of course, is right here, is where the fan is located, up here. So it does get loud when you have it cranked up all the way on highest setting. I usually don't have it there. I usually only have it at 2. I get ample supply of air because it's got a ton of vents up here going around. These are the recirculation vents here then on either side. Those are recirculation vents. You see the arrows up here. So that's what those things are for. But it does move a lot of air though. You know, not short of air in here. But because everything's kind of jammed in there. But there's kind of a good thing, even though it is kind of loud. But working on it though, the cab filter is actually right up top of the cab here. You access it through the crawling up the back of the tractor here. Really easy to get to. Just turn 2 knobs and open it up, and you have access right to your cab filter right there. Plus the top of the cab has a couple panels you can remove, covers, so you can actually have direct access to some of the stuff on top then, so it's really easy to get to. It's not like on other tractors like New Holland. I think John Deere is like that too. I'm sure it's on some of the ACO tractors too. It's probably the same way, but when stuff's underneath the seat here, underneath the cab, it is a pain in the butt to work on. But when it's actually up here, it actually seems it's a lot easier working on stuff. So tell me how I know, because we've worked on stuff in here already with that capillary tube, and also with some of our New Holland tractors too. Like working on this thing was way simpler because everything's kind of up here already. Way easier. Yeah, like I say, it's not very roomy. It's got a buddy seat though. It's got a nice buddy seat here. It's got some storage underneath here. It actually has, found this out a few years ago, it's got storage back here too. Pull the seat forward. It's got 2 little knobs here. Got a tiny bit of storage back here. I got some seals here for stuff, fuel tank and the def tank. I got stuff there, spare stuff. Nope. There we go. So he sits back there. We have a little control button. One's for the rear windshield wiper. I'm sure some other accessories too. Cigarette plug, 12-volt plug there. He got stuff down here. I got the CB in the way here, but he got some plugs in here. Another 12-volt cigarette plug. Some other plugs here. I think that's one of those 3-prong plugs, and there's some other ones here too. There's a few other things down here too, or openings, grommets that you can install a plug to. So it's got other stuff that you can tie into. Fuse panels underneath here. And then the main fuse panel is actually down by the batteries then. You just open the cover of the main fuse panels down there then for those, for the main, for the big fuses, I would say. It does have an accessory bar up here. I ordered this last year. Accessory bar up here for mounting stuff up here, monitors and whatnot. Some of you may even notice who actually have some of these tractors, or they're a Massey, Fendt, or Challenger version of this. There's no deluxe monitor here because this tractor didn't have it. It didn't have the option when it came. It's just the way it was. Really, for us, we don't need it because it's mainly for loader work, so we didn't need that. But you still have some options you can really control and dial in from the screens up here. This thing has economy PTO, 540 and 1000. It's a mechanical lever here, which is nice. I think ones that have more of the electronic, if they're more electronic stuff, it's not a mechanical for the economy PTO. You'll actually use these buttons up here then for doing that stuff. If it was more digital, electronic, and you'd have that deluxe screen here, I think that would be this would be utilized then up here. This is the panel for your lights. All your lights are up here. Put your lights on. You press this button first. This activates all your lights so you can put them on then. This is for your roading. Puts your front headlights on, and I think it puts your hazard lights on too then for road mode. Auto front wheel drive and full-time front wheel drive. Auto differential lock and full-time diff lock. Oh, what is this again? I forget what this one is. Some suspension again. This be for the loader or something? I don't remember what that's for. But then this would be front end suspension then, if it had it, which this is for standard. Front axle doesn't have it, so this would be your front end suspension, engagement, disengagement. Back up to here is your kind of your 3-point stuff here. 3-point raise height, maximum raise height, 3-point lower rate, and then draft control, and then just some information here if it's 3 points going up, down, or if you have an error code, something like that. This is for your 3-point suspension. It's driven hydraulic. It's hydraulically controlled. It allows the 3-point arms to give for soft ride for your 3-point. Really useful. This is for if you have dual hydraulic pumps on the tractor. This tractor only has one pump, one main pump for everything, powering everything. You know, loader. They're all tied in 3-point. They're all using the same pump. But if you had dual pumps though, you know, if you want more hydraulic power to, you know, for loader work or for this or for your 3-point, if you're not utilizing anymore, if you want more hydraulic flow through using linking both pumps together for extra flow instead of having them separate for, like, you know, one pump would control maybe just your 3-point arms and the other pump would control these, but you can link them together, then you have more hydraulic flow. You just press this button and it links them together then for extra flow. Of course, hazard lights, key, and PTO switch here. I'm not sure what this auto PTO switch does again. I forgot again. I think it's like I think it has to do with your 3-point arms. You know, I think that's kind of controlled through the screens up here. If your 3-point arms go down to a certain point, automatically engages the PTO then. PTO, there's three, it's a 3-position switch here. The far position like this is engagement. You push this button down and just push it forward, it engages. Back once, it disengages it, but it's free spinning, so it slows down, you know, real slow, using you know, momentum. It'll eventually stop. But if you depress it all the way, then that's the PTO brake then. So by standard, when you shut it off, you know, you have it on, you just toggle it down one spot like this, it'll just free spin to a stop then, which is really nice for a lot of implements. But if you need to stop it in a hurry, you just depress it all the way and that applies the PTO brake then. Throttle, 3-point, I think this manually moves the 3-point arms too. This is more or less a manual dial. If you want to have, you know, detailed, minute control over the 3-point arms, you use this to slowly adjust stuff instead of using the fast controls here. Of course, engine speed. The loader joystick here. This is where I really like this transmission on this tractor. I heard the CVTs are great as well for loader work. Just the sheer amount of options you have for it. It is an absolutely fantastic transmission for loader work. Here's the biggest reason why. Power shuttle on the left side here. It's real easy to move. You keep your hand on the steering wheel all the time. You can just move this forward, reverse, neutral, forward, upshift, downshift, reversed, upshift, downshift, clutch, declutch. You actually lift the shuttle up here, it declutches the transmission, kicks it out of gear until you pop it back in, then it's back in gear again. So it's a really multi-function shuttle, power shuttle right here. Super useful. It's so comfortable. My hand can stay on the steering wheel and it takes no effort to move it. I usually use just one little finger here when I'm going. It's super easy to use. Super easy. Over here, I mean, I should also add that our Eco Alice, early Eco Alice, is the same way. Same exact thing over here. It's the same thing. So you're looking at a tractor, a 2001 model Eco Alice to a 2014 model Massey Ferguson here, and it still uses the same power shuttle here. That shows you this thing is darn good. And that was one of the reasons why we bought this tractor over another tractor was this is the biggest reason why we went with a Massey here. Great for loader work. And what they added to this is the loader joystick here. Upshift transmission, downshift transmission. 2 buttons right here. This is actually, this button here is a power shuttle for changing directions, forward and reverse, forward, reverse. It's also got a button back here, little black button back here. Push that. That's technically a clutch. It kicks out the transmission until you release it, then it engages it again. So really, you could run the whole transmission from the loader joystick. You could run the whole transmission from here. Everything. You can run it, everything from here if you really want to. You don't even have to move your hand at all. This handle here, this is for the transmission as well. Upshift, downshift, changing from field mode to road mode here. Essentially what that does is field mode locks it into a range, so you have to manually push this button in order to change ranges. But road mode, if you have it in road mode, it'll automatically shift ranges once you get to the end. You know, when you get to the maximum gear in a range, you hit it up again, it'll automatically jump to the next range then and into the proper gear to have a smooth engagement in your next range. And it's all automatic there if you want to do it that way. But usually I have it in field mode most of the time because I just want more control. So to manually shift ranges, press this in, move the T handle one way for next range up, or move the T handle back, pressing that button, next range down. Easy peasy. Great transmission. I love it. I love it. Dyna 6. Really like it. Look at the dash real quick here. I'm not going to go over it too in depth, but here's your little overview here. Of course, your RPMs are right here. Coolant temperature, DEF level, engine oil pressure, fuel tank level. But these 2 little inside bars here, they are actually dual gauges, I guess, because right now I have it set for urea right now, the DEF tank. But using this control pad, I can actually switch that right now. Press the home key, goes to your alternator, your battery voltage. Press it again, goes back to urea. Or engine oil pressures, there's actually I think it's trailer brake pressure, which we don't, that's not installed in this tractor, so that would be for changing the engine oil gauge there, pressure gauge, to trailer brake pressure. You can use that using this keypad then to be able to switch to there. The right hand screen here is your transmission information. It shows you what range you're in, what gear you're in, what mode you're in. Right now I'm in field mode. I will switch it to road mode just by holding in this button. Now it's in road mode, which now means I don't need to even use this button for changing ranges. It'll automatically go to the next range when I get to the highest gear in the current range. Really easy peasy, but I usually have it in field mode anyways. This will also show you if you're engaged in four-wheel drive, or I should say front wheel assist, what PTO settings you have. Like right now I'm in 540, I have a 540 PTO shaft in economy PTO, and then your speed, and then that bottom thing is kind of multi-display. Right now it shows the number of hours on the tractor right now. I can cycle through that by using this button here, this little circle button here. I can cycle through it. That shows you your PTO speed, engine RPM it can show. You can have kind of an hour counter on here. That's resettable just by holding this button here when that's on display. So you can program like how many hours, or reset, kind of like a little hour counter that's resettable, kind of like a trip counter on a regular vehicle, same thing. But you can only adjust that stuff with this button here, is what that one allows you to do. The left screen here, you just use the arrow keys, and these 2 buttons here allows you to modify these screens here. This screen is for programming the transmission to start out in a certain gear, forward and reverse. You can program that. You use the combination of shuttle and the T handle to be able to set that. It's actually, everything's documented in the manual, then tells you how to do it. I've used that a few times. That is super nifty for when you're doing a lot of loader work. You want to get, when you change directions, when you change directions, it automatically, the tractor automatically changes gears to what gear you have set in. So it makes it real easy. You don't have to shift any gears then. You don't have to shift down or shift up for changing directions. Tractor will do it for you. So it just makes it a lot easier doing loader work, really, is what it does. It kind of more or less automates it, so you don't have to shift the transmission as much yourself. The tractor does it for you for changing directions. Next screen is sensitivity for your transmission, how sensitive or how quick you want it to change directions, going forward, reverse, and also how aggressive you want it for changing gears, changing your transmission gears, how quickly you want it to shift. You can adjust that through that screen. This is for, I think one is, I think it has something to do with engine speed. I think the bottom one is setting the brake to act as a clutch to declutch transmission when you press the brake in. That's really nifty as well. I think it's better yet. It's okay on the power shift, but that's where it gets really handy for, say, a CVT transmission. You put that option to be on for a CVT transmission, and whenever you press the brake in, when the brake engages, it'll kick out the transmission just by using the brake. So it's essentially like driving an automatic transmission in a car. It's pretty much what it's like. Really nifty feature there. Next one is setting for constant engine speeds here. That utilizes these dials over here and switches over here. That's what this screen is for. I really haven't used it much because I guess I haven't really had a need for it. I usually stay in control for stuff like that, so that's what that screen is for. I think that would be more or less on, if you have the deluxe screen, you could do it from the deluxe screen instead, if it has that screen instead, instead of having to do it from here. But this is just how you do it with just the standard without the deluxe screen. You can program it from here then. Just some information here. You can reset the fuel. It has a little fuel counter here up top that's resettable. Total fuel used, total def used, and your current fuel rate per hour. So it shows. So, but the only value in here that's changeable is the top one here. That's for if you want to see how much fuel you used. So these are off a little bit. The def usage, that's probably fairly. It's probably lowballed a bit, but pretty much for these counters here, I figured it out already. For every 10 gallons of fuel it shows on here, you have to add 1 gallon. So that's just lifetime totals there. Next screen, loader suspension. That's if you have the ALO or the quickie loader, where that's controlled kind of hydraulically, electronically, instead of having a mechanical switch. Like our Quaker loader has a mechanical lever on the side for doing that, but that would just be for manually, or if you had the ALO or the quickie loader on with its soft ride system on. That's how you would control that if you want that on or off. Use this screen. The bottom one, I forget what that one is again. I'm not sure what that one's for again. I don't remember. I have to look in the book again. This is for setting constant engine speeds again. It's some other screen again, utilizing these knobs here for controlling that. I think that actually adjusts that over there too. Yeah, it does. See, I just rotated this knob here. So this actually kind of in conjunction with a couple screens here. This is where you use these dials over here. So for setting constant engine speeds, and so the tractor automatically goes with those engine speeds, then you can set them that way. This is 3-point stuff, timers, it looks like it. I haven't really used that at all, so I couldn't tell you exactly, but that's what it looks like though. Some sort of timers along with engine speed or some, I would guess, something there. Hydraulics priorities, you can adjust to see like how much hydraulic flow of the total hydraulic flow that you want being utilized for your 3-point arms versus the rest of your hydraulic function in your tractor, like your loader or your rear remotes. So you can kind of, prioritize, if you want more oil going to your 3-point arms when they're being used, or do you just want more towards your rear remotes. So you can adjust that there. This screen is for that rear PTO switch I talked about in the back of the tractor. This is for engaging the PTO from the back of the tractor when you're outside. Pretty much the top one is just to put the function on. Like right now we have it enabled, so we're able to use that switch. Then the next one where it says 1360, that's for the engine speed you want the engine to automatically rev up to. So you just pretty much leave the tractor idling. Once you engage it back there, it'll automatically rev the tractor up to that set speed then, and it will stay there then until you disengage the PTO, but then it'll drop back down to where you had the PTO set, engine speed set before. So but in order to engage the PTO from the back of the tractor, you have to have, of course, the PTO neutral here, park brake pulled, and you have to have it enabled on the screen here and have an RPM set. And then, once that's all done, you can go to the back of the tractor, press and hold that button for as like 3 to 5 seconds. But you'll noticeably hear it. Once you press it and start holding it, the tractor will rev down all the way. PTO will engage slowly, and then the tractor will slowly rev up to whatever set engine speed you have programmed in here then. And then once it reaches to that RPM then, you just kind of hold it just for a tiny bit longer, like another second or two. Then you can release it then, and then everything should be going automatically then. If you release that button too soon, it will disengage the PTO. So there's kind of a fine line. And then just to disengage it then, after you're running it, just gotta press it once. Just tap it once. It'll shut it off then. So it's nice when you don't even have to come in the cab at all to run the PTO. It's really nice. It's a nice feature. This is for setting pedal mode, I think, engine RPM, and I forget what the top one is again. I always forget the different modes again. I don't really use it much, so I can't really tell much on it. This is just some diagnostic information. Top number is just your next service interval. I think that only gets, whenever that's resettable. I think it goes up by 500 hours, then your next service interval. I don't really use it because I have my own logbook anyway, so I don't need it. Next is your engine system voltage. Next number is your coolant temperature, and then the bottom number is hydraulic temperature. Fuel percentage left in the tank and def percentage left in the def tank. This is for controlling the brightness of the dash here, as well as the contrast. And back to the main screen again. What I don't like either, just switching off the key here now, the battery isolator, because after it runs, the DEF pumps the fluid back into the tank and runs some system checks. It's got an automatic battery isolator on here. Well, it automatically kicks out everything, which is actually kind of nice. It pretty much makes the tractor dead then, so it's not draining anything, which is actually kind of nice. But there's a problem with the wiring though. A couple things here. Watch the cab light. Kitty. Oh, there it went. That's what I mean about the automatic battery isolator. It kicks everything out. So your cab light goes out, your radio loses memory function. I don't know why this radio doesn't have. I think the CMOS battery might be bad in it too, but the radio doesn't really remember much then. And there should be a little bit different wiring in here in the cab. I might want to do that someday, but what I'd like to do, this cab light, the clock, and the radio memory wire connected directly to the battery with an inline fuse is what I would do. Maybe someday I'll do that, but that's gonna be a little bit of a process though to get those couple wires ran in here. That's one downside about that battery isolator though, is how this is currently wired in here. But I guess that's all I've got to say on this now. I know it's a long video, but I know there's more I could talk about yet. When you had it in for warranty work back in 2016, there's a handful of things. The cab suspension mounting bracket was actually broken from the factory. That's what it was. It rode rough right when we first had the tractor because that cab mount was broken, so it was just rough. Of course, there was a couple things with finding that assembly nut in one of the filters for some reason. I don't know why that was there. Plus, there was a whole fiasco there then too with the dealership, and I know there was a few other things yet too. I forget what we all had them do to it again. But there's a whole variety of things though while we had it in for warranty work. But since then though, can't say I've had anything with it then. It's, you know, out of all the tractors on our farm here, this is my favorite one. It's my favorite one to use. Simply because how everything's laid out in the cab. I really like how everything's laid out in the cab. It's in a very close race though, this tractor and our 8870 over there for number 1 and number 2 punch. Those are my 2 favorite tractors. This would be a near perfect tractor for me if it wasn't for this. If that wasn't there, it would be a little bit simpler around the engine compartment then too. Less crap to go around, and it's a pretty much near perfect tractor for me personally anyways right now. Hopefully it stays that way, that we don't have any problems with it. But I really do really like this tractor a lot. So another thing on this tractor, it's a pretty low clearance. That's one thing I was going to mention. It's pretty low clearance. I mean, the biggest thing is that the loader mount, the loader frame, the Quaker loader frame, you can see it hanging down there, how it's bolted together. But then as you get further back though, then, you know, it's kind of the protective shield underneath then. So it's kind of a low clearance tractor. You know, versus other tractors we have. Like, this is one of I think this is our lowest clearance tractor that we have right now. Like, pretty sure. And what we paid for it 5 years ago, well, no, I'll never ever find that fair price again for it. Never ever. That'll never happen again. You know, I'm glad we bought this tractor when we did, because that was an opportunity of a lifetime, put it that way. The dealer wanted it moved, sales reps wanted it moved. Is because this tractor actually came all the way from Iowa. So I'm sure some of you remember that. This came all the way from Iowa. Dealer was really great to work with. It was Raider Brothers, really good to work with. I got nothing bad to say about them. Really good to work with. They dropped the ALO loader off. They actually widened the tractor for us, added rear wheel. Actually, I think I had to pay for the extra set of rear wheel weights. We didn't have to put any fluid in the tires. Actually, it actually had crummy Firestone tires on, and they actually swapped the tires off of a different tractor, I think, and they put the Michelin air bibs on here then. That's right, they forgot they did that. Yeah, because I didn't want one of the Firestone tires on here. I wanted to make air bibs, so. But yeah, I forgot they did that, and they, like I say, they widened the tractor for us. They set where it should be for having, you know, it fairly wide, so it's a nice stable tractor for loader work. But like I say, they were really good to work with. That dealer, excellent to work with, and they made it happen. They of course, you know, that all changed the price. They dropped the ALO loader off, of course, wheel weights, and then flipping tires then, and some other things, you know, price fluctuating, and, you know, but then they sent it off to Lenox, South Dakota then, where a Quaker drew up blueprints to mount loader on, and then Quaker delivered it up to us then. That took about, you know, I think, well, we actually bought it in actually December of 2014, but it didn't come till I think it was mid or late February of 2015 then, after all that then. So, but yeah, good tractor so far. Hope it stays that way.